الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Alright, so what we're going to do today, inshallah, we got one hadith, one narration that we're going to take from Adab Mufrad, and we're probably going to spend the rest of the time fulfilling one of my hobbies and my fun. Now I get to have fun today, which is just going over like, I don't know how many lines I put in here. Let's say, 25. The first 25 lines of this poem from Jahiliyyah. So it's one of the poems from before the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So, inshallah, first we'll take the hadith and we'll go into this. This is probably going to take up we might not even finish this. So we'll have to continue tomorrow. Alright, so Bab. Alright, this is chapter number 84. Bab Bay' al-Khadimi min al-A'rab. Now this does not mean that you're selling a servant from amongst the Arab. The Arab, it means what? The Bedouins, the Arab, the Bedouins, the Bedouin Arabs. Alright, this does not mean that you're selling a khadim from them, but you're selling the khadim to them. Now why would you sell a servant to Bedouins? Because the last chapter that we took, what was the last chapter? Bab Su'il Malaka. Right? Which means what? Bad treatment and bad. Like when you possess a servant or a slave, that you treat them very badly. So here, if you sell the servant to the Arab, to the Bedouins, what's going to happen to him? Is he going to get treated very well or not? No, he's going to get treated horribly. So there has to be a purpose for that. That's what we're going to see, inshallah, in this narration. So this is number 162. حدثنا سليمان بن حرب قال حدثنا حماد بن زيد عن يحيى بن سعيد عن ابن عمرة عن عائشة رضي الله عنها. So this is all, this chain of narration is sahih. So you get that before we go in, so you can go into the narration understanding that this is authentic. All right. أن عائشة رضي الله عنها دبرت أمة لها فاشتكت عائشة. Alright, so first off, we'll just take it little by little because there's a lot to explain throughout this hadith, alright, for the people to understand. It said, Dabbarat amatan laha. Dabbarat, it means what? Dabbara, yudabbiru, normally we use it to mean like to organize, to schedule, but Dabbarat here, it means that she basically said to the servant, when I die, you're free. She's giving her freedom after her death. This is called Dabbarat. Alright, Dabbara. Dabbara, it means to free her after the person's death. So that's a part of the the wasiyah for this person is that, okay, khalas, she's free after I die. So this is what she means. Dabbarat amatan laha. So she had a female servant, slave, and she said, you're free after I die. She told her this. Fashtakat Aisha. Fashtakat here, min al-marad. It means that she complained from a sickness. The shakwa here, it means what? After she freed her, she told her this, right? Aisha radiallahu anha got sick. فَسَأَلَ بَنُوا أَخِيهَا طَبِيبًا مِنَ الزُّطْ. Alright, so the family of Banu Akhiha, it means the family of Aisha's brother. They went to a tabib, to a doctor. Min al-Zut. And al-Zut is from the Hunud. These are the Indians that went and lived amongst the Arabs and they started to take on, the language of Arabi. So they just became like Mustaraba, so they got married from the Arabs and their children got married from the Arabs. So they're Indian from the asl, from the origins, but it's like the Arabs, like their culture, everything is Arabi. So this is the Zut. So he said, "Akhiha tabiban min az-Zut." So he went to go ask a doctor from amongst these people. فقال إنكم تخبروني عن امرأة مسحورة. So the doctor, when he heard the complaints of Aisha, he told them, he said, you're asking me about a woman who's clearly had witchcraft done to her. Alright, this is the cause of her sickness. Alright, saharatha amatun laha. And he said that the female servant, she's the one that did the sihr to her. She's the one that did the magic to her. فأخبرت عائشة. So Aisha was informed of this. قالت سحرتيني. So she went to the servant and she asked her. She said, you did this to me. You know, you did this magic to me. She said, فقالت نعم. She said, yes. So of course Aisha's surprised because she's like, dude, I just freed you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm like, you know, she didn't want no money from her. She didn't want anything. She just said, like, look, you know, because you've been good and everything, when I die, you're free. You know, it gave her her freedom, right? So she said, what? So she said, yeah. She's like, yeah, I did it. فقالت ولما. She's like, why? Why would you do that? لا تنجين أبدا. She said that you'll never free me. You'll never free me, ever. That's what she says, right? That you'll never free me. ثم قالت. So then Aisha radiallahu anha said to her family, بيعوها من شر العرب ملكة. Said, take her and sell her to the worst of the Arabs. So she gets the treatment that she deserves because of what she did to Aisha radiallahu anha. So, number one, this shows, and like I said, this hadith is sahih. This narration from Aisha is sahih. This is a mawquf ala Aisha. This is a statement of, this is her, you know, issue, right? So, number one, it shows the permissibility of what? Of selling the servant even after she had already, she told her, like, you're free when I die. But obviously, because she's still alive, she has the right to do what? Change her mind and take it back, you know, if she sees the conditions. Like, for example, you know, maybe the person is, doing certain things that are good, and then she says, well, you're free after I die, then the person gets lazy. And they're like, no, we're not doing this. You're not staying with me until I die. And she gets rid of her. And in this case, the woman, she did oppression to her. She went and she did a form of witchcraft to her, which caused her to get sick. And then she had to go, you know, have a doctor come and everything. So, you see, so, like, you know, and it just happens, it's phenomenal. So she went and did to her what she deserved because of what she did. So she sold her to the Arab. She sold her to some Bedouins. She said, take her and sell her to the Arabs with the worst manners, with the worst treatment of their servants. Go find those Arabs and sell her. Just, you know, just give, like, basically sell her, even if with the cheapest price, just to get rid of her, but also to punish her for what she did. Evil punishment. SubhanAllah. It's not evil, I mean, it's just. It's a just punishment, right? It's a just punishment, but I'm saying for the girl that it's going to happen to, oh, yeah. You imagine being the servant for a bunch of Bedouin Arabs? Ooh, boy. Because, you know, in the house, you're in the house, you know, you're taking care of the house, you're cooking food, you're eating good. With the Bedouins, where you going to be at? You're going to be out in the desert with the camels, man. You're going to be out in the sun, you know. Nah, that's no joke, I think, you know, but this is what she gets, you know, and just that one, just salama. So she did that mistreatment, and all she had to do was just be patient. But she said, no, you're never going to free me. And she told her, you're free after my death. And then she went and got impatient and did what she did. So the longest time, she got a nice just reward for that. All right, what's it looking like? Huh?
السؤال واحد.
Can you read it? Did I open this up?
السؤال كان هل ابنك الأصغر يغضب عندما مش يغضب بس يعني يبكي يعني كما يتصرف زي كالطفل عندما تأخذ منه نهاية حتى يعني بس تشوف اليوتيوب هاب.
شو؟
هو يسألك يعني هل ابنك الأصغر يعني أصب هل يعني زي يبكي وهذا الأشياء عندما تأخذ منه نهاية فقط حتى تشوف اليوتيوب يعني له أشياء مستلبسة هذا الشيء.
أصل يبكي على كل شيء. أصل cries about everything.
ممكن يلبس يوتيوب زي نصيحة أو شيء.
He said, what would you recommend as your young son always watching? He said, if your son, he's not, I think that's if your young son always watches. I don't even know who these YouTubers are, you know. It's your son. You should control what they watch. If you see something that's not good.
بس يعني السيرفيس عنده لوطي.
Huh?
السيرفيس عنده لوطي يعني في القناة حقه.
What is it?
السيرفيس عنده لوطي في القناة حقه.
Anything that calls for that type of foolishness is not permissible for you to allow your children to watch it. All that rainbow garbage, no. Why are we upstairs? Because this is cool guy. Currently watching from the restaurant says, why are you upstairs? Because I thought you said guests are coming today. So I wanted to, choose the cleanest area for the guests. But there's nobody here. But we're enjoying the air conditioner. I don't know how to say his name. Kaif Mahmoud. Assalamu alaikum. It is results day for our exams in a couple of days. Is it permissible to ask for a certain grade in sujood? You ask for whatever you want, but it's not from the Salaf that they would ask for things from the dunya. If you want to ask something and you know that you can get that dua answered, you want to ask for things in the akhirah, ask for things in your deen, things that are important. Alright, you ready for this poem now? Let me see. But you don't have a phone. I was trying to say, like, okay, what I'll do is I can go ahead and tell you, like, where to get the poem at, but maybe you should bring one. Where's your phone at?
Me.
Why? This is slow. What's that yelling outside?
No problem.
Yelling at who? Huh?
هم يشوفون
ايش؟
هم يشوفون
سيدي. I'm just trying to see like how easy it is to find it. Alright, you can go to diwan.com, diwan.net, and you type in Ubayd ibn al-Abras. This is the name of the Sha'ir. This is his mu'alaqa. So the name of the poet is Ubayd ibn al-Abras, and you can find his poem on diwan.net. And I said, we're going to go over like the first 25 lines, probably, try to. And we'll see if we want to finish it or not, like in another day. But his name is Ubayd ibn al-Abras, and he lived in the time of Imr al-Qais. If I'm not mistaken, he died like 25 years before Hijrah. So he died 25, so basically 12 years before the Prophet ﷺ was sent. He died, so before he became the Prophet. So this is like pre-Islamic, that he died. All right, but what's interesting is that I want you to keep this in mind, that this is the time that he lived in. All right, so he died 12 years. So the Prophet ﷺ was alive when he died, but he wasn't the Prophet. All right, so he hadn't gotten the Risala, he hadn't gotten the revelation. And so I want you to keep that in mind, obviously, as we're going through the poem, that this is a guy that died before the Prophet ﷺ got the revelation. Just, kind of keep that one in mind. All right, the main thing that I wanted to do with this is to go over it because of the aspect of the language and to kind of give other people stuff to benefit from, because a lot of the times we keep it easy with the easy stuff, but sometimes we got to give other things that are fun for other people, so we got to kind of mix it up a bit. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I'm just going to go line by line, all right? Because this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be easy. All right, so he said, line number 1, he said, أفقر من أهله ملحوب فالقطبيات فالذنوب. So he said, afqara, it means khala, it means to be empty, barren, like nothing exists in it. So he said, afqara min ahlihi. So he's talking about this house, all right, because a lot of these poets from Jahiliyyah, a lot of them you see around this time period that he's talking in, is that they started off the poem, a lot of the times, Zuhair did it, Imr Qais did it, and a lot of the, I'm not sure if Tarifa did it, but they go back to like this place where they haven't been for a long time, where they grew up at, where they remember like, their friends or family, or, maybe a girl that he loved. And he's going back to this house, but now the house is destroyed and nobody lives there anymore. And then that's how they start the poem off. So he's doing the same thing. He's going back to these places that he knows, and there's just nobody there anymore. It's just like, it's not what he remembers, after maybe he's been traveling for a long time, maybe whatever the case may be. But now he's going back, and he said, أفقر من أهله ملحوب. Malhubu is the name of a place. Alright, so he's just saying like this whole area is just completely emptied out. There's all the people that he knew used to be there, they're no longer there. So he mentioned 3 places here, and then he mentions 2 other places in the next line. So he said, أفقر من أهله ملحوب. Malhub is a place, فالقطبيات is a place, فالذنوب, all 3 of these places, these are villages, like different areas. Alright. Then he said in line number 2, he said, فراقص فطعالبات فذات فرقين فالقليب. Actually, all of these are places, all of them, and all of these places he went back to these little areas, and they're all empty. They're all gone. Like nobody lives in them anymore. So he said, فراقص فطعالبات فذات فرقين فالقليب. So 4 more places that he mentions. So be patient, because then he'll get into the actual poem. See, then after that he said, فعرضة فقفاء حبر ليس بها منهم عريب. So then now he mentions another place. فعرضة فقفاء حبر. Alright, so these are the last 2 places he mentions, right? He said, ليس بها منهم عريب. He said, you cannot find one person in any of these places. Aribu. Aribu, it means what? Huh?
Law?
No. And Aribu, it means معناه أن أحد يستطيع أن يعرف ما في نفسه. I mean, he can express what's in himself. Like basically, there's no people there. There's no people there, because Aribu, it means that he can express what's in himself. Express what's in himself. But there's nobody there to express. Nobody can talk. There's nobody there to talk. So he's like saying, there's nobody I can find to even talk to in these places. So imagine like you go away. This is the place that you grew up, the place that you remember everything, and then you go back there and what? It's just completely empty. Nobody there anymore. All right. So he said, yeah. All right. So he said in another meaning of Aribu, laysa fiha anis. Anis, it means what? Somebody that you can share with, somebody that you can, because this is the word insan. The word insan, it comes from the word anisa, which means anisa ya'nisuna ba'dahum ba'dahum. So the insan is because of al-uns, is that we have this type of sympathy and empathy, and we feel sadness for each other, we feel emotions with each other. So this is a type of uns. And you know, if you don't have that, then you start to feel this what? Like, how do you feel? It's wahsha. You know, the wahsha, if you look at the word wahsha and then you look at the word wahshi, it's very similar, right? The word wahshi, it means like a beast. Like a beast, like out in the wild, like a wild animal, right? That's a wahshi. But al-wahsha, it means that you stay alone too much. And what happens when you stay alone, because you don't have anybody to share your feelings with, nobody to talk to, nobody to share anything with, you start to get this feeling of a wahsha. And you start to get really wahshi. You start to get like this wild beast-like type of person, this personality, where you stop caring anymore. You know, all your emotions, they start to die out, and you become like a wild animal, you know what I'm saying? So this is what he's talking about. There's no anis, there's nobody that I can talk to and share anything with. He said, وَبُدِّلَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا وَحُوشًا وغيرت حالها الخطوب. He said, وَبُدِّلَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا وَحُوشًا. He said, in the place where there used to be people, he said, now there's just wild animals. And then وحوشا, we just, alhamdulillah, so we just took this word. Alright, so بُدِّلَتْ بِأَهْلِهَا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا وَحُوشًا وغيرت حالها الخطوب. And in the affairs and the changing of the dunya and all the stuff that's happening through the wars and maybe drought or whatever, it's completely changed. Everything. So nothing exists as it used to exist, and where the people used to exist, now there's nothing but what? Wild beasts. Alright, أرض توارثها شعوب وكل من حلها محروب. He said it's a land. توارثها what? شعوب. It's a land that's just inherited with what? With death. شعوب with a fatha. is another word for al-maniyya. Al-maniyya in the Arabic language, and whenever they use this a lot in poetry, it means death. You cannot put alif or lam on the sha'ub. It's always going to be ism alam. Alright, sha'ubu, sha'ub, not sha'ub, not to be confused with sha'ub, which is a sha'b. But sha'ubu, it means what? Death. He said, أَرْضٌ تَوَارَثُهَا شَعُوبُ وَكُلَّ مَنْ حَلَّهَا مَحْرُوبُ. And everybody that comes to this land, that tries to come to this land, مَحْرُوبُ. مَحْرُوبُ means مَصْلُوبُ. يَصْلُبْ أَنْهُ حَيَاتًا وَأَشْيَاءَهُ. Like everybody that comes to this land, he's going to have everything taken from him. Even his life. He's not going to be able to survive. He's going to even have his life taken from him. Alright, he said, إِمَّا قَتِيلٌ وَإِمَّا هَالِكٌ وَالشَّيْبُ شَيْنٌ لِمَنْ يَشِيبُ. Go ahead, lad. Hey, I was reading this line at, what was it, like 3:30 this morning, when I said, I'm going to read this poem tonight, man. Because this is when I started thinking about it. So I read this line to him, and he started laughing. So what you laughing? He said, it sounds like you're speaking Chinese. Shush, you know. So he said, إِمَّا قَتِيلٌ. You know, either one, you get killed. Coming to this land, you're going to get killed. وَإِمَّا هَالِكٌ, or two, you're just going to die from other reasons. He said, وَالشَّيْبُ شَيْنٌ لِمَنْ يَشِيبُ. And he said, in old age is, like old age for us is like a shame. Like it's a shame for you. You know, because he said, like, basically, with his tribe, you should die young. You should die, and you should die in battle, and you should die in an act of bravery. You shouldn't live to be old age. So he said the people who live to be old age, they're like, you know, it's like a shame for them to live, to say that I'm still alive in an old age. So he said, وَشَيْبُ شَيْنٌ لِمَنْ يَشِيبُ. He said, عَيْنَاكَ دَمْعُهُمَا سَرُوبُ كَأَنَّ شَأْنَيْهِمَا شَعِيبُ. So he said, your eyes, and obviously now, talking about the sadness and everything that he's feeling. He said, عَيْنَاكَ دَمْعُهُمَا سَرُوبُ. He said that your eyes are pouring forth tears like sarubu. It means like sarab, like it's just like flowing, like the tears are flowing out. كَأَنَّ شَأْنَيْهِمَا شَعِيبُ. Sha'nay is a part of the cranium where they say, I guess, the tear ducts are. So the sha'an, this doesn't mean sha'an in the Arabic language, means like an issue. But it means sha'an, the place where the tears flow from. He said, كَأَنَّ what? He said, شَأْنَيْهِمَا شَعِيبُ. This is beautiful, man. Like the language, if you can understand this, and that's the only reason why, like I said, I read this, you know, so that people can understand like the vastness and the beauty of the Arabic language. So he said that the tear ducts is like, you know, we talked about the water skin before, where you take a skin and you sew it together and you pour water in it, you carry water in this thing, right? But now is the sha'ibu is when that skin, it starts to wear out, the threading wears out and it gets old and it rips open while it has water in it. So if it rips open and it has water in it, what happens? The water is going to flow out. So he said, كَأَنَّ شَأْنَيْهِمَا شَعِيبُ. It's like it's a ripped open old water skin with the water just flowing out when he's crying. He said, وَاهِيَةٌ أَوْ مَعِينٌ مُمْعِنٌ مِنْ حَطْبَةٍ دُونَهَا لُهُوبُ. So he's describing the water skin because he said, شَعِيبُ وَاهِيَةٌ. وَاهِيَةٌ, it means what? It's old and it's getting worn out. So that's what it is. It's sha'ibu wahid. And you know, it's getting old and worn out, so it's ripping open. Then he said, ma'inun. Ma'inun, he said, you know, ma'in is the water that flows. Some of the people say it means a river, but any water that flows on the surface of the land, not the water that flows in the land, like under the ground, where you know, the groundwater, but this is water, any water that flows on the surface of the land, right? What surah is this in? Ma'in. Read it this morning, man. Take the Musaf over it. Even though it's English. Look up Surah Al-Mulk. He grabbed the English translation of the Quran. And he opened it up because I don't think he's ever seen an English translation of the Quran. He said, well, I just grabbed the Bible. He has never seen that. That's the first time you ever opened up the English translation. He said, I grabbed the Bible. Astaghfirullah, man. Surah Al-Mulk. I don't know, 561 or 562. Yes? Go to the last word. The last word in the surah. No, the last word in the surah. من يأتيكم بماء معين, flowing on the earth, so it's easy for you to get. Yeah. So there you go. All right. So معين is a ماء يجري على وجه الأرض. All right. So he said وأهية أو معين. So he said it's flowing, like the tears are flowing, like the water that's out of this ripped up water skin. Al ma'inun, or the tears are flowing like a river flowing on land, like a river flowing on land. Mum'inun and musrak, it means that they're flowing what? Quickly in the surah. Min hadbatin dunaha lahubu. All right, and he said from hadba, it means it's like a raised up hill, flat. Some people say it's like a flat mountain. So it's like it's flowing down from this, like the tears are just flowing and flowing and flowing out like this with the type of swiftness. And that's what he's saying, like أنه شبه ما يسيل من عينيه من الدم بما يسيل من المزادة المشقة البالية لماء يسرع. All right, so it's like, he's comparing the tears that are flowing out of his eyes to the tears that to like the water after, it's like that flows out of that rip open water skin, old water skin, when it rips open and the water flows out. Or like the river that flows off of a hadba, off of a higher place, and it's flowing. So he's comparing his crying to this over, obviously he's like going back and seeing that everything's gone. He said, وَفَلَجٌ بِبَطْنِ وَادٍ لِلْمَاءِ مِنْ تَحْتِهِ قَصِيبٌ. And Falaj is like a small river. A small river. So he said, وَفَلَجْ بِبَطْنِ وَادٍ. So it's like he said it's like a small river flowing through what? Through the middle of a valley. Through the middle of a valley. لِلْمَاءِ مِنْ تَحْتِهِ قَصِيبٌ. When the water is underneath it, قَصِيبٌ. And قَصِيبٌ, it means what? Qasib is the have you ever, when you're close to like flowing water, what does it sound like? That's qasib. Like you could hear the water flowing. You could hear it. Like it's flowing so hard that it puts out the sound. Again, that's what he's comparing his crying to. It's so he's crying so hard that you can even hear the water flowing out with the sound of the Juriyan al-Ma al-Qasib. Wait, I think I skipped a whole bunch of stuff. No, that's line number 9. We might actually make this, because the good stuff is to come. Like this is all just the introduction. So he said, "Our jadwalun fi dhilal nakhlin lil-ma'i min tahtihi sukubu." He said, or like a jadwal. A jadwal is also what? It's a small river. Also, same thing. Jadwal, and the other word, what do we say? This falaj. Both of the falaj and jadwal, both of these mean a small river. So he said, al jadwalun fi dhilal nakhlin. So this is like a small river flowing underneath the shadow of a date palm. So the water is flowing underneath the shadow of a date palm. للماء من تحته سكوب. And here that the water is just here he said in the poem sukubu, but he meant what? The meaning of it is al-iskab. He says sukubu, and you see that the poets, they do this a lot because what? each poem, it has like a specific meter that you have to follow. And if he had said al-iskabu, it would have broken the meter. So he had to say sukubu to do what? To protect the poem. Otherwise he would have broken the meter of the poem. So he said al-sukubu, but he means what? Al-iskabu. Iskabu, it means to do what? Come on, man, you're Yemeni, you should know this word. Sakaba. It means to pour out. Alright, to pour out. للماء من تحته سكوبه, like the water is just being what? It's just being thrown out and poured out. Alright. And he said after that, number 11, he said, تصبو وأن لك تصابي أن وقد رعاك المشيب. He said, تصبو. I can't even read my own handwriting right now. Tasbu, it means like, a person is like inclined to like stupid stuff, like just wasting their time. Like this is what they're inclined to do, and they're not inclined to like things that bring them benefit. They're inclined to like just doing things like whenever he sees like entertainment or something stupid, he'll flock to it. But whenever he sees something beneficial, like a class going on, he's like, I'm busy, I gotta go. So this is like, this is what he means. He said, tasbu, وَأَنَّ لَكَ تَصَابِ. And he said, and where do you get the idea that you have, that you can, you have this time to waste, this life to waste. He said, أَنَّ وَقَدْ رَعَاكَ الْمَشِيبُ. And he said, and you're sitting here like wasting your life away over whatever, just wasting it on just entertainment. He said, but now the mashibu, your old age is now crept up on you. And he said, but you're still wasting your time and you're still living the life the way that you're living it. Alright. He said, أن يكون حول منها أهلها فلا بديع ولا عجيب. He said, أن يكون حول منها أهلها. So he said, if it's the people that used to live here, they have left, they've gone. فَلَا بَدِيءٌ وَلَا عَجِيبٌ. And he said, and this is not the first time that the people have left or the people have died out. And he said, this has happened before and it will happen again. So it's like, it's not ajib. He said, وَلَا بَدِيءٌ, it means la, this is not the first time. Badi'u from bada'a. From bada'a means to start. It's like, this is not the first time it's happened. وَلَا عَجِيبٌ, and this is not even strange. It's not like a weird event that you go and, because people live and people die. Societies come up and what? Societies collapse. And that's what he's saying. He said, if you're going back to this land and seeing that there's nobody there, say this is not the first time that this has happened through history, and it's not even a surprise. It's not even something that's amazing, because this is the nature of societies. Just like America, as we see America now, maybe in America in 50 years, everything's destroyed. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And this will not be amazing because we've seen this throughout history. Anybody that reads history knows that these societies come up, and they come up with what? Not in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, حَقٌّ عَلَى اللَّهِ أَنْ لَا يَرْتَفِعَ شَيْءٍ فِي الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا وَوَضَعَهُ اللَّهُ. Now, that nothing raises itself up in this dunya except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drops it, crushes it, destroys it. It's over. So this is the nature of all society. So that's what he's saying. It's like this isn't the first time that this happened, and nor is it amazing that it's happened. He said, أو يقول قد أغفر منها جوها وعادها المحل والجدوب. Alright, so he said, أو يقول قد أغفر. أغفر means what? We said this from the very beginning. What does it mean? From qifar, it means like khala. From the very beginning, there's nobody. He went to the place and there's nobody there. Khala min anas. So he said, أو يكون قد أقفر منها جوها الجو البيت. Alright, this is not talking about the jow, like the weather. So this is, like I said, this is the beauty of reading through this, because you get to understand the original words in the Arabic language and the way that they used it originally. And the jow is the inside of the house. The inside part of the house is called a jow al-bayt. Alright, and what they used to call like the courtyard in the house is called what? Sahan al-bayt, and that's where they get the word sahan from. Alright, because normally the courtyards were round, so the courtyard of the house is called sahan al-bayt. But the jow is the inside of the house, the inner parts of the house. So he said, when يَقُولْ قَدْ أَكْفَرَ مِنْهَا جَوُّهَا. So he said, if you see that you've gone into the inner parts of the houses, and you see what? There's nobody in there. There's nobody. All the inner parts of the house, all the rooms, everything's empty. وعادها المحل والجدوب. عادها here it means أصابها. عادها it means what? أصابها means it befell, like an affliction. أصابها المحل. المحل القحط وانقطاع المطر. So he said, because he's comparing the inside of the house to all these houses and the village being empty to what? And that's why he said Aqfara. Aqfara, it means what? Al-Qifar, which is the desert area where nothing grows. So he's comparing it to this barren desert where nothing grows. They're showing like now. So now he's comparing the inside of the house to like what? قَدْ أَصَابَهَا إيش؟ قَدْ عَادَهَا الْمَحْلَ. Al-Mahl is, what do you say? Al-Qahd. Al-Qahd is a drought. Like they've been afflicted with drought. It means like what? So there's no people. He's comparing the lack of people to like the lack of plants and everything because of the drought. He said, وَعَادَهَا الْمَحْلُ وَالْجُدُوبُ. And judub also is the jam' jadab وَهُوَ الْمَحْلُ. It's the same thing. So he mentioned that 2 times in a row with different words. So al-mahl wal-judub, both of them means what? And judub is the plural form of al-jadab, which means what? It means drought. Drought. This is only going to be good for the people that love like words in Arabic language, right? You gotta have a notebook for this type of stuff, man. Alright, but don't worry. There's a reason why I chose this poem, but you're not going to see it until we get to like line 20. So you gotta be patient. So 14. فَكُلِّ ذِي نِعْمَةٍ مَخْلُوصُهَا. Actually, I'm going to start saying it now. He said, فَكُلُّ ذِي نِعْمَةٍ مَخْلُوصُهَا وَكُلُّ ذِي عَمَلٍ مَخْذُوبُ. What does that mean? What do you think? He said, فَكُلُّ ذِي نِعْمَةٍ مَخْلُوصُهَا وَكُلُّ ذِي عَمَلٍ مَخْذُوبُ. He said, for every person who possesses a ni'mah, a blessing, like something that he's like really likes, مَخْلُوصُهَا, he's going to have it taken from him. He's going to have this thing taken from him. Like, there's no blessing that's going to stay with you. Every blessing that you have, whatever it was, you have a car, you have a house, and all of this thing, eventually, either one, it gets taken from you in the dunya through masa'ib and trials and tribulations, or it's taken away from you with what? With your death, when you die, because you have to leave everything behind. You're not taking these things with you. So that's what he's saying. فَقُولُوا ذِي نِعْمَةٍ مَخْلُوصُهَا وَقُولُوا ذِي أَمَلٍ مَخْذُوبُ. And he said, and everybody that has these dreams of the future and what he's going to do in the future, مَخْذُوبُ. He said, all of it's lies. He said, you probably won't live to see half of that stuff. He's like, basically, all the dreams and things that you have going on in your head, you shouldn't even expect to see, even except maybe a small portion of it. Makdubu. Makdubu, it means like it's what? It's like a liar, it's a lie. So don't believe it. Then he said, وَقُولُ ذِي إِبْلٍ يُورِثُهَا وَقُولِ ذِي سَلَبٍ مَسْلُوبُ. And he said, وَقُولُ ذِي إِبْلٍ, because the ibl obviously with the Arabs is what? It's the camels, but it's the most, it's the best of their wealth, It's the best of their wealth, Like us now, you have all these possessions to show that you're wealthy, right? But with the Arabs back in those days, they had the camels. Like, they had a lot of camels. The more camels you had, the wealthier you were, right? So he's saying that everybody that possesses these camels, yurithuha, he'll what? Leave it for inheritance for the people after him. He's not taking this with him. So he's talking about, this is the life of this world. Just like I went to this village and saw everybody gone, this is going to happen to all of us. We're going to go and we're going to leave all this for other people. Then they're going to leave it for other people, and it's just going to, until it's all gone. He said, وَقُولُ ذِي إِبْنٍ يُورِثُهَا وَقُولُ ذِي سَلَبٍ مَسْلُوبُ. Salab is when you're fighting in war and you kill a soldier. And what do you do? What do you do when you kill a soldier? An enemy combatant. What do? You take all the stuff off of them. If you have time, obviously, once the firefighting's over, you go to the person that you killed, and you take his weapons, you take everything, his money, whatever, and you take it, it's yours, because you killed him, right? Like a salabaha. So you get his weapons, and you get his bullets, you get everything, whatever he has. So he's saying that kullu the salabin, that everybody who's gotten the salab, everybody who's done this to a person in battle, will have this done to him also in the battle. That one day, just like you killed him, and you're taking his stuff off of him, off of his dead body, he said one day you're going to get killed, and they'll be taking the stuff off of your dead body the same way that you took it off of his. So that's what he means. وَكُلُّ ذِي سَلَبٍ مَصْلُوبٌ. He said, وَكُلُّ ذِي غَيْبَةٍ يَعُوبُ وَغَائِبُ الْمَوْتِ لَا يَعُوبُ. And he said, and everybody that has a person who's, every كُلُّ ذِي غَيْبَةٍ. Ghaiba, it means like, for example, somebody from your family, they traveled and they've been gone a long time. He said, كُلُّ ذِي غَيْبَةٍ يَعُوبُ. He said, when a person travels and they're away from you for a long time, he said, what? They return to you. يَعُوبُ. They return to you. He said, وَغَائِبُ الْمَوْتِ لَا يَعُوبُ. But he said, when the person leaves you because of death, he said, they never return back to you. It's over. It's done. But as long as that person's alive, there's a chance that they will return. They'll come back to the place, right? He said, أَعَاقِرٌ مِثْلُ ذَاتِ رِحْمٍ أَغَانِمٌ مِثْلُ مَنْ يَخِيبُ. He said, Aqir. Aqir means what? Aqir is a woman who's not able to have children. Alright, Aqir is a woman who's not able to have children. And it's used originally in the Arabic language for like this type of sand and dirt that you can't grow anything in. It's barren. It's because a lot of that sand and stuff has like a lot of salt and stuff like that. So if you try to plant seeds in it doesn't grow anything. So that they use it now, use it for the woman who's not able to have children. So he's saying, is the woman who can't have children, mithla dhati rihm, is she like the woman who has a good womb and she bears a lot of children? Are they the same? And he said, aghanimu mithla man yakhibu. He said, and is the person who goes out in battle and he gets a lot of money from after he destroys the enemy, like the person who goes out wa yakhibu, and the person who comes back disappointed because he got nothing? He said, are they the same? The dunya, man, that's what he's talking about. The dunya sucks, basically. That's the gist of it. Alright. He said, Man yasal an-nas yahrimuhu wa sa'il Allah la yakhibu. So after he said this, he said, are they the same? Are they the same like the woman who's barren? Is she the same as the woman who has the ability to have a lot of children? The man who goes out and gets a lot of wealth and the guy that comes back empty-handed and disappointed, are they the same? So then he says, whoever asks the people, whoever goes to the people and tries to ask them, he said, يَحْرِمُوهُ. يَحْرِمُوهُ because what? يَمَلُّهُ. If you keep asking the people and asking the people and asking the people, what happens? They get fed up with you, they get bored, and then they stop giving, they stop helping you, they stop giving you. But he said, وَسَائِلُ اللَّهَ لَا يَخِيبُ. But he said the one who goes back and asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will never be disappointed. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never tire from him. As long as you keep asking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep giving to you. He'll never become tired. This is in Jahiliyyah. Remember this, right? He said, وَسَائِلُ اللَّهَ.
جاهلية في الشعر.
What?
هي جاهلية في الشعر.
Sure.
لا في الشعر.
Oh, what are they saying?
بس يعني زي يتكلمون عن بعض.
So he said, من يسأل الناس يحرموه وسائل الله لا يخيبه. What are they talking about?
السخرية عن بعض.
Huh?
السخرية عن بعض.
بالله يدرك كل خير وقول في بعضه ترغيب. And he said, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sought everything that's good. And everything good in this dunya, everything that's good in this life and the next life, you get it from who? You get it from Allah. Again, this is before Islam, right? So to show you that there are still like this remnants, like this remnants of Millat Ibrahim, some remnants that were still in the people. Because like I said, this poem is, Allah knows best when the poem was written. But he died 25 years, before Hijrah. So when he wrote the poem, Allah knows best. But he was killed, so I don't think he lived that long. Alright. But he said what? Wallahu billahi yudraku kulla khairin. Alright, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the good is sought. And whoever puts his trust in Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his affairs easy for him. And he said, وَقَوْلُ فِي بَعْضِهِ تَلْغِيبُ. And he said, and there's a lot of statements, like this is like a isti'naf. Isti'naf, it means that he started another sentence. Like this wow, it means, وَالْقَوْلُ, here it means that it's starting a new sentence. It's not connected to the previous sentence. And he says some of the statements of the people, what? تَلْغِيبُ. He said it's like basically just, away from the truth. Like, that when they speak in a way that's not in line with the truth. Because he's saying, like, basically some people, they speak with wisdom, with hikmah. And keep in mind, like I said, because at this time, this is before the Quran was sent down, before the Sunnah. So he's just talking out of like wisdom, like people that learn from their lives, learn from their experience of life. He says some people, they speak truthful and they speak correctly, and then other people, they speak what? Speak off to the side. They try to tell the people like the truth, but they're far, far, far from the truth. He said, وَاللَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ عَلَّامُ مَا أَخْفَتَ الْقُلُوبُ. He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no sharik. What does that mean? Huh? No, he has no partners, like no partners in worship to him. He said, Allah, وَاللَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no partners in worship. Allamu, Allam, it means what? It's an alim, but it's from sighat al-mubalagha. Like an alim is a person who knows, but like Allam is like, he knows everything. So like Allah, and he said, Allamu ma akhfatil qulubu. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that you hide in your hearts. So he's saying, after he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no partners in worship with him, and he said, وَعَلَّامُ مَا أَخْفَتَ الْقُلُوبُ, that he knows everything that you hide in your hearts. أَخْفَتَ الْقُلُوبُ. So akhfa, it means what? To hide something. Al-qulubu, you understand. He said, أَفْلِحْ بِمَا شِئْتْ فَقَدْ يَبْلَغُ بِالضَّ. Like that, you gotta stop like that. That's kind of difficult. He said, أَفْلِحْ بِمَا شِئْتْ فَقَدْ يَبْلَغُ بِالضَّعْفِ وَقَدْ يُخْدَعُ الْأَرِيبُ. He said, do whatever choose whatever path that you think is right for you. أَفْلِحْ بِمَا شِئْتْ. Whatever you think is going to bring you success, go try it. Go try it for yourself. He said, فَقَدْ يُبْلَغُ بِالضَّعْفِ. He said a person might achieve all of his goals with weakness. Like a weak dude might achieve everything that he set out to achieve. And he's weak and he's lazy and he doesn't do anything, but he might achieve everything. And he said, وَقَدْ يُخْدَعُ الْأَرِيبُ. And al-arib is like the person that has an aql, and he knows what he's doing. وَلْيُخْدَعُ. And he gets nothing. Like he achieves nothing in his life. He said, but he's talking about the state of the dunya. He said, do whatever you want in this dunya. This dunya means nothing. He said, go and do it however you wish to achieve it, go ahead. Because the lazy, weak person, he might achieve something, and the person who's strong and he has a strong aql, he achieves nothing, and he's poor, and the people don't even know who he is. And this is similar to the statement of Abu Faras, where he said, what did he say? Let me try to remember the line of the poem. He said, something like this. He said, إِنَّا فِي الزَّمَانِ تَحَاكَمُوا عَلَى أَسَادِهِنَ وَكِلَابُ. He said that we live in a time where the lions are ruled over by dogs. Because that's the nature of this dunya. The nature of the dunya is it raises up what? It raises up the sufla, the garbage, the filth. You look at the people who get all the celebrity status. These are garbage people. These are people that have no principles in their lives. Look at the people that, become like politics. How do you become a politician? You have to become like the worst, two-faced liar, hypocrite. All the evil characteristics have to be in you to succeed in these types of things. If you're an honest person and you're trying to correct everything and you get involved in politics, they'll wash you out quick as day. And then on top of that, they'll throw all the stuff that they're doing on you and toss you under the bus and destroy your whole reputation and everything. Huh? No, Lamit ibn Warad. He mentioned it. Yeah. He said that's min adatiha. This is the standard of the dunya, that it raises up the garbage. And then the people like, and it takes the real people of Izzah, the people of Deen, and they're the poor people, they're the weak people, they're the people that don't have, a say-so in anything. But then all the people with the say-so, all the people that you see, just idiots. It raises up the filth, And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned that in the Quran, where He said what? If I can remember the ayat, Hamza's not here, so he can't get nobody there to correct me, He said, وَأَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَةٌ بِقَدْرِهَا فَاحْتَمَلَ السَّيْلُ زَبَدًا رَابِيًا وَمِمَّا يُوقِدُونَ عَلَيْهِ مِنَ النَّارِ ابْتِغَاءَ حِلْيَةٍ أَوْ مَتَاعٍ زَبَدٌ مِثْلُهُ زبد مثله فأما زبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال كذلك يضرب الله. I think I skipped something. Hold on. But alright, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أنزل من السماء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the rain from the skies. فسالت أودية بقدرها. And then the rain, it flowed off of the mountains, and then it flowed through the valleys until it was raised up, right? بِقَدْرِهَا فَاحْتَمَلَ السَّيْلُ زَبَدًا رَابِيًا. And then the sail, as it was going through the valley, what did it start to pick up? It picked up all the filth and the garbage through the valley. And where did it, he said, Rabia. And what does Rabia mean? Muratafi'a. Like what happens is when the sail picks up all this garbage, where does it go? It goes to the top. It rises up on top of the sail and it sits on the top. So as the sail's flowing, this stuff it sits off at the top. Muratafi'a, Rabia. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave another example. He said, وَمِمَّا يَبْتَغِي. He said, and he mentioned about the people with the gold. And the people that, because you heat up the gold to get out what? What are you trying to get out? All the filth and the wasf. He said all that, and the same thing when you heat up the gold, where does all that filth go? It rises up to the top. It goes to the top. Zabad. He said, Zabadun mithlu. He said that same type of zabad, that same type of filth that you see that comes up on the sail, it also comes up when you're trying to purify gold and everything. So you see in the times, in these times, what? You see all that filth that goes up to the top. But then what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say after that? He said, فَأَمَّا زَبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. This was the muratafiq. This was on top of the sail, right? But he said the zabad, the filth of the sail, it gets thrown off to the sides of the valley. And what does it do? Jufa, like nothing, no benefit whatsoever. It's not going to be used for drinking water. It's not going to grow any plants. But he said, وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And he said, but that which brings benefit to the people, فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. It will remain in the earth so the people can continue to benefit from it. Because it will go to the fields of the people and it waters their crops. And it goes into the land. And the people can take that water out and use it for drinking water and to water their crops when the rain's not falling. So the people continue to benefit. So everything that's benefit to the people will remain in the earth. But you see, in these types of times, what do you see? You see the filth and the garbage. What does it do? It rises to the top. So you see now in all these higher positions, what do you see? Filth and garbage. But what's going to remain amongst the people? All these people are going to die out. Nobody's going to remember them. Nobody's going to even sit back and think about who these people are 20 years from now, 30 years from now. They're going to be forgotten. But what's going to be remembered is the thing that brought the benefit to the people. Not the thing that entertained the people. Not the thing that just wasted the people's time or the thing that caused people's lives to be chaotic and corrupted and everything. What's going to remain amongst the people is that which brings benefit. You remember Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, but you don't remember the names of all the people that were fighting against him, putting them in prison, going up to the rulers and causing them problems. And you don't remember these people. The only time that you'll know these people is when you read through the history book. But most people, if you sit there and mention who are these people, they don't know them. They're not remembered. What's beneficial for the people will remain in the earth. And it will continue to benefit the people, inshallah. So that's what he's saying. With the dunya, he said, don't even worry about it. He said, one day you see the weak person is successful and the smart person, the smart, strong person fails. He said, لا يعظ الناس من لا يعظ الدهر ولا ينفع التلبيه. He said, you cannot ta'adh here, it means what? Tansah. He said, you can't advise a person who hasn't taken the advice of what has happened in his life. What does he mean here? He said, how can you advise a person who has not learned the lessons from his own life? Like you're trying to advise him, and he hasn't even learned from the mistakes that he's made in his own life. So how is he going to take your advice? How can you advise a person like that? Constantly making the same mistakes, constantly putting the blame on other people, not taking accountability, being a loser. How are you going to advise a person like that? And that's what he's saying. How can you advise a person when life tried to advise him, he didn't accept the advice, but now you're trying to advise him. Life tried to advise him. You know, he went through all these trials and tribulations that Allah put him through, but he didn't change him. So he said, how can you advise a person like this? He said, وَلَا يَنْفَعُ التَّلْبِيبُ. And he said, and it will not bring any benefit to what? To a person who pretends, like, this is very, very important. This is nice, right? He said, your advice will bring no benefit to a talbib. Talbib is a person who pretends to be intelligent and smart. He pretends, but he's not. You know, because if he was truly intelligent, he would have learned from his own mistakes and you wouldn't even have to advise him. But he didn't. So he said that your advice would bring no benefit to this type of person who pretends and takes on. He said, إِلَّا سَجَايَا مِنَ الْقُلُوبِ. He said, but only the people who have it's their real nature to be, you know, to use their minds and to be, you know, have the good morality and, you know, they don't have this corruption from their nature. Like, you know, their nature doesn't accept corruption. Not that they're corrupted, but then they try to act like they're not. But he said, these people, they're just naturally from the sajaya. Sajaya comes from sajiya. Sajiyya means your taba, your khuluq, your natural, you know, just how you are naturally. How Allah created you like this. How all the events that's happened in your life that Allah has protected you and kept this essence with you. To where like you are, you know, you're just good. And you don't accept corruption. He said, these are the people that benefit from your advice, not the people that put on this act. You know. He said, what? I'm going to have to check and see what it is I wrote. Oh, yeah, okay, got it. He said, وَكَمْ تَصِيرَنَّ شَانِئًا حَبِيبُ. He said, إِلَّا سَجَايَا مِنَ الْقُلُوبِ وَكَمْ تَصِيرَنَّ شَانِئًا حَبِيبُ. And he said, and how many times is a person who insulted you and hated you? A shani'u is a person who's a mubghid, like he really, really despises you. And he said, how many times have you had a person that truly hated you, but then once they got to know you and you know the good about you, they became what? He said, Shani'an Habibu. He became beloved to you and you became beloved to him. Because he was like based off of what? Lack of knowledge. But once he got to know you and your true nature, then he became like a close companion to you. He said, قَدْ يُوصَلُ النَّازِهُ النَّائِيُّ وَقَدْ يُقْطَعُ ذُو سَحْمَةِ الْقَرِيبُ. And he said that a nazih and a na'i, that both of these mean what? A person who's very, very far away. Al-ba'id. And this came in the Lamiyat al-Ajam, right? Lamiyat al-Ajam, where he said, na'in an al-ahli sifr al-kafi munfaridun. He said, na'in an al-ahl, ba'idun an al-ahl. Sifr al-kaf. Sifr al-kaf, it means I have nothing in my hand, no money, no nothing, no possessions. He said, I'm far from my family and I have no possessions. He's trying to get back to his family, but he doesn't have the means to get back to them. He said, قَدْ يُوصَلُ النَّازِهُ النَّائِي وَقَدْ يُقْطَعُ ذُو سَحْمَةِ الْقَرِيبُ. So he said that a person who's very, very far away, he might what? Yusal. Alright, Yusal here does not mean like he might make it like wasala. It doesn't mean it's Yusal. It goes back to like a sila. A sila is like, we've been taking this in Adab, but Mufrad means what? To keep connections with. So he said, قَدْ يُوصَلُ النَّازِهُ النَّائِي وَقَدْ يُقْطَعُ ذُو سَحْمَةِ الْقَرِيبُ. So a person, he might keep connections with a person who's far, far, far away from him. But he might cut off the connections of somebody from his close relatives that's right there next to him. He's just, because what he's talking about here is he's just talking about the what? State of the dunya. He said, this is how the dunya is. The dunya is like you see people keeping connections with people far away, but cutting off the connections with their family. You see the weak idiot gets into power, and you see the strong guy with the akal, he's working as a janitor or something like that, right? You see, like, this is the state of the dunya. All right, then after that, and this is the last line that I put here, he said, وَالْمَرْءُ مَا عَاشَ فِي تَكْذِيبٍ طُولُ الْحَيَاةِ لَهُ تَعْذِيبُ. He said, وَالْمَرْءُ مَا عَاشَ فِي تَكْذِيبٍ. He said that as long as you think that you're going to live, like you keep thinking that you live, he said, he said, you're lying to yourself if you think that you're going to continue living. He said, وَالْمَرْءُ مَا عَاشَ فِي تَكْذِيبٍ طُولُ الْحَيَاةِ. He thinks that he's going to live a long, long, long life, right? He said, but this is a lie. And he shouldn't even believe. Like, don't believe that you're going to live a long life. He said, طُولُ الْحَيَاةِ لَهُ تَعْذِيبُ. He said, for the person who does live a long life, he said that's a punishment for him. It's a punishment for him. Why is he saying it's a punishment for him? What happens to the people after they live a long life? Their bodies start to break down. Their mind starts to break down. They start to forget all the stuff that they knew. They start to lose all the people that they grew up with. I mean, if you're the one that lives the long life, you're going to be the one losing the most people. People are going to be dying around you because the other people are dying, but you're the one that's got the long life, right? So he said that this person who lives this long life is what? He's for ta'adib. He's like, he lives in punishment all the time because, you know, his body's breaking down, his mind's breaking down, everybody's dying around him, and he knows that his time's coming, but he's still alive watching all this stuff happen. And then he's the one that's around, you know, he's the one that's left over, everybody's gone. So he said that anybody like that in that state, it's a punishment for him. It's not a blessing. You know, it's not a blessing. Unless, of course, what? The person, he lives a longer life and the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's a blessing. But just to live your life just as a person in the dunya, because, I mean, after a certain age, you can't work anymore, you can't do anything anymore, and then you become reliant on people just like a child was relying on a parent. Now you become reliant on other people because you can't even do things for yourself anymore. That's a punishment. So anybody that lives to that time period in their life is living in Adab. Any questions? Is it okay to screen record a part of your lesson to share with others to benefit from? If you're talking about taking out, I don't care what you do with these lessons. I'm not going to be running around reporting people for copyright. I don't care. Like I said, we're not making any of these lessons they're made for a benefit for the people. They're not made for views. And, you know, none of the stuff that we do on YouTube, none of it is monetized. None of it. So we don't care what you do with it. I mean, we do care that you're going to go do something stupid with it, but, you know, as far as like something beneficial that's being shared with the people, that's no problem. And wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh for everybody. Abdul Kareem said, what if someone wants to start memorizing Quran, but every time he opens the Mus'haf and starts, after 5 minutes, he starts yawning uncontrollably and almost falls asleep. Your sins, actually, make tawbah and start making a lot of istighfar and doing a lot of seeking the assistance and help with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's a sunnah to cut nails, take bath, and shave pubic hairs on Friday, not on Friday, but it is an obligation upon everybody that's going to the Jummah to take a shower on Friday. Instead, it's halal to share images of people or videos of you not taking yourself. It's not halal to share images of anybody, whether you took them or you didn't take them. Ustad, I have the Dark Tower book series in my house. Is this what the jinn was talking about? What are you talking about? Is this what the jinn was talking about? Would you recommend I remove from the house? Well, if it's not permissible for you, why would you give it to somebody else? And if it's something that you're worried about and it might cause jinn or sihr or things like this in your house, why would you give it to somebody else, destroy it? destroyed. So the question from a sister, if my mom tells me to buy things for my nieces and nephews like diapers, clothes, while the mother is still alive, must I obey my mom? My mom tells me to buy things for my nieces and nephews like, you should buy those things for your nieces and nephews without your mother telling you. But if she tells you, then yeah, you definitely should. Because I mean, if it's your sister, you need to help her out to make it easy for you, because these things are expensive, you know, so help her out. You know, if your mother told you to do that, then do it. Instead, can I report a video made by a Muslim to YouTube if it is made by Muhammad Adab or Omar Sulaiman? It will probably have no consequences. No, it's not permissible, because you're reporting a Muslim to a kafir. We refute these individuals. And the people of misguidance, we refute them. Our deen, we refute them. We don't report Muslims to kuffar. Doesn't matter, YouTube or anything else, it's not permissible. It's not permissible, it's dhulm. Instead, if someone wakes up close to shuruq, makes wudu and wants to pray sunnah fajr, when shuruq time just hits, does he just pray even though it is forbidden time? During the forbidden time, you pray. If you just woke up, you need to pray Fajr. Instead of the problem I have and the situation is obvious, then do I have to make specific dua, or can I just say Ya Allah and I think in my head? I mean, look, like we talked about before, you have two types of, I think we talked about this the last class or maybe the class before that. You have, but we didn't talk about dua, we just talked about what, your words. Sometimes you say things with words and sometimes you say things through what? Through your actions, right? So the same thing with dua. You have a dua bil-lisan al-muqal and you have a dua bil-lisan al-hal. Dua bil-lisan al-muqal, it means that you're speaking it. You're saying, yeah, oh Allah, give me this. Oh Allah, help me with this. Oh Allah, remove this affliction from me. Whatever the case may be, right? This is a dua bil-lisan al-muqal. You're saying it. But then you have a dua bil-lisan al-hal, which is the one that I like the most. Which means that when you're in difficult situations or you need something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what do you start to do? You start to do more acts of obedience and you try to get closer to Allah. You try to do things because Allah knows what's going on in your heart. And you're making dua, but you're not saying it, but you're making dua through what? Through your actions. But that doesn't mean don't make dua with words. No, you continue to make dua with words. But it's also the best thing to do what? To back it up with actions. If you want something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do things to get closer to Him. Do worship, read more Quran, get up at night, do something, fast Mondays and Thursdays, do something that's going to assist you to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bring you closer to Allah, but then also continue to ask at the same time. I don't even know what he's saying. He said, yeah, the same. That's why I asked that question. Because I said in the sujood, I don't want a 6. What do you mean you don't want a 6?
Talking about his grading for his exams.
Oh, he was the one that asked about the grades. Okay. You're going to get what you work for. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
حمزة يقول
Huh?
حمزة يقول بيجيب معاه 4 ناس.
Oh, he's bringing the guests with him. Okay. What's going on here, man? We got people calling each other jerks and all this type of stuff, mashallah, Muslims. Huh?
هذا كان كله.
We got 13-year-olds in the chat or something, or what's going on? The elementary kids? Okay, so remind me to block them all tomorrow, so. If someone has this is Mustafa, finally, normalcy again. If someone has a light urge to use the washroom, does it fall under وَلَا هُوَ يُدَافِعُهُ الْأَخْبَثَانِ? I mean, if it's something that you can hold back and it's not going to bother you, because, you know, obviously when you really got to go, you go, you know, because you can't concentrate in salat like that. But there might be certain times where it's like you got this slight urge to go, but it's like, I can go or I can hold it, you know, and it's not going to bother me, then that's not an issue. Because that doesn't fall under that yudafi'u al-akhbathan, you know, because this is like, it's coming out, you know, you got to go. You just go to the bathroom, even if it's the time of salat, you go to the bathroom and relieve yourself first and get that done so you can concentrate on the salat. Because if you try to hold it while you're in salat, you're going to be focusing the whole time on not, you know, having to wash clothes tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So you're trying to keep your clothes clean, right? You're trying to hold it back. That's what your concentration on. It's not on the salat. But if it's just something like, you know, it's slight, you know, because you're afraid like, okay, well, I could go to the bathroom, but if I go to the bathroom, I might miss the first rak'ah, or I might not be able to get in the saf al-awwal, or things like that. And you can hold it without any issues, and it's not a problem. You don't fall under the hadith, inshallah. Oh boy, these 13-year-olds are still going, huh? So Hope says, how long does it usually take for a student to study Alfiyat ibn Malik? Depends on where you study it at. If you studied it in Yemen, it'll probably take you about a year. If you studied it in Sardiya, it'll probably take you about 30. No, okay, 4 or 5 years. I don't even think they even finish it in 4 years. They study little bits and pieces of it throughout their university years, but they don't actually study the whole entire method. So, yeah, I mean, in Yemen it takes about a year. If you're just studying the method, just Alfiyah, about a year. If you're studying like Ibn Aqil, which is the explanation of Alfiyah, even that's like about a year. Yeah, about the same time. The person shouldn't make dua, you know. Just like the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يتمنين أحدكم الموت لضر أصابه. You know, like the person should never ever have hope for death, like, you know, because you don't know. Look at Sheikh Mubaz, rahimahullah. He lived to be in his 90s, right? If I'm not mistaken. You know, in 90s, he's still giving fatwa, he's still benefiting the Muslim, he's still just racking up good deeds before his death. So, I mean, what you need to make dua for is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps you thabit. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does give you a long life, if that's what Allah has written for you, but it's a long life on His obedience and doing the things that you're supposed to be doing as a Muslim. Because that's more beneficial than like a shorter life. Because you know, with the longer life, if you're doing it in obedience, you get more reward. Late payment fees are haram. Late payment fees are haram. It's a manfa'a. It's a benefit for the person. So this is just a way to get more money from people. You know, if the person is having difficulty paying, and then you make it easy for them. Go see what they're doing, please. If they're messing, if you see any foolishness over there, they're all out. I mean, there's not much you can do anyways if you sign a contract and they're going to do that anyways. Just don't. That's all the contracts in the West, because all the, you know, everything that you see here is all set up to bring benefit for who? It's meant to bring benefit for the person who is selling the product, not for you as the person who's using it. So that's what I'm saying. All of that falls in the haram, because all these late fees are going to, okay, you didn't get paid on time, or something happened and you had to take your son to the emergency room and you didn't have the money to pay the bill, and now they're going to start charging you late fees and you have these types of difficulties. No, this is not permissible. It's not permissible. But this is what the kuffar do.
alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Remember Nabi? These are his two kids.
Okay, mashallah. Oh yeah, in the middle. Was he back in Yemen or what?
Yeah. They said yeah, he's back in Yemen.
Lucky him.
You haven't heard yet, right?
No, he said
You haven't heard yet.
safe. Alright, so what's this? Salam Khan said, Ustad, and it is halal to share screen recordings of your streams to people if you yourself admit. You don't have to share the video, do you? You can take the video, extract the audio, and share the audio. Who said you had to share the video? People don't benefit from looking at nobody. You just sit here and staring at a video. You don't benefit from that anyway. It's the lesson and what's being taught. That's what the people benefit from. Say, go ahead. Shukran. A woman puts herself in a place where non-mahram can see her without the hijab or proper hijab. Is she sinful? Yes. She goes in her backyard without the hijab and she has a short fence. Or anytime, any place that you're at where you feel that somebody might see you, it is not permissible for you to uncover yourself in any way. You know, so if you have that type of backyard or whatever, when you go out back, whatever, to hang clothes or whatever it is that you're doing, or paint a fence or whatever, you dress properly. If you know that there's a possibility that other people can see you. Hamza says we are on our way. Jakarta says some people can't be advised. Yes.
You can't say that when I'm in the prayer.
Huh?
You can't say that when I'm doing the salah. I'll be right back now.
Anonymous said, two of my uncles passed away, and their wives are over 60, I think, assuming no khalwa. Can you tell me how I can meet and talk to them? If they're beyond that age of being a fitna, then there's no issue. You know, you can go there and do things for them, take food to them. The Prophet ﷺ used to take the hand of the ajawis, the older women, I'm talking about the elderly women, and take them by the hand and walk with them to Medina. So that's not an issue if they're like, the woman's old. But some women, they're 60 years old, or they might be, you know, but they're like, they're predatory. So if that's the case, then you can't be alone with her, man. But any, you know, as long as like an old lady that's like beyond the age of fitna, she's not a fitna for the people, there's no issue. So in the subcontinent, I'm assuming that he's talking about India, there's much free mixing issues related to the family. Yep, and that's why you guys have so many problems. Also, what if my female cousins are in the room but covered, not the face, but does this change the hukm? No. It's not permissible for you to be around your female cousins. If I was going to marry a girl and I knew that she talked with her cousin on the phone, I would not marry her. You know, because what's the difference between her and talking to her cousin and her talking to another dude on the street?
Anything, it's more dangerous.
Hmm?
It's more dangerous if she talks to her cousin on the guy on the
Yeah,
street.
because she feels like it's safe, which is worse.
And they're more likely to encounter each other.
Yep.
As a family.
And if they can marry each other, then that's off limits. How's the situation in Yemen at the moment? Abdullah Musa said, what does your father say? Where is he at? He's in heaven. There's a whole he's controlling. What is he doing in heaven?
He's everywhere. Sometimes Adab, sometimes.
It's safe for him to go to heaven. Looking the way he does with the beard and everything.
He still does it. Still does it.
They don't bother him.
They don't bother him.
MashaAllah.
I think if you give them da'wah, then that's the thing. If you go and you try to talk to the Houthis, then they'll kill you. Like in this day and age.
Not even this day and age, back in the past. One brother went to Sada, this was in early 2000s, before the first war even started in 2004. He went up to one of the guys he was smoking. He just said, you know smoking's haram. He said, oh, come with me. He took him and kicked him out of Yemen. Put him in prison and kicked him out of Yemen. Sent him to Indonesia, he did the same thing, they kicked him out of Indonesia. Miskeen. You know, he wanted to, like, he was talking to the police and trying to tell them, like, you know, this is haram, this is haram. They're like, man, well, you're not allowed here either. Because he spoke Indonesian, he spoke their language. He's a British brother, but he spoke Chinese, he spoke Indonesian. So he didn't want to go back to America, to Britain, so he said, nah, send me to Indonesia. They kicked him out of there too, and they stamped his passport, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as a, you know, a terrorist. You know, because they're like, no, man, you're getting on our nerves. You know, they kicked him out. Yeah, man, but he went straight up to a Houthi, man, and tried to tell him that smoking is haram. Watching from Algeria. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I almost feel in salat when going to sujood, and I almost fell, I think he's trying to say, right? I almost fell in salat when going to sujood, and I moved my arm hastily and fast not to fall. No, because this is not purpose. It's not on purpose. I mean, this happens, actually. You know, like sometimes you're wearing a thobe and you go down, you know, you're coming up too fast, and your foot gets caught on the bottom part of the thobe, and you yoke yourself like that. Some people fall back, and sometimes you fall forward. It happens. Sometimes you get up quickly and you hit the person next to you and he knocks you down, because you might be standing next to a brick wall. But that's not something that's done on purpose. That does not invalidate your salat. What invalidates your salat, the things that you do, you know, on purpose. Like, you know, if you fell down on purpose, yeah, that would invalidate your salat. He said, هل استعمال البنوك الربوية بدون عقد الربا تقع تحت قاعدة الضرورات تبيح المحظورات. Depends on your situation, akhi. You know, because you might have a job that they don't pay you unless you get through what? I mean, that's not the case in America anyways. Like in the case in America, you know, you don't have to get paid through a bank account. But the thing is that the bank account is the safest thing to get paid through. Because if you don't get paid through the bank account, what do they pay you through? They give you these like temporary Visa cards, which is worse than the bank account. Because at least the bank account, you can get the debit card with no interest. So you're not signing that contract of interest. If you have no purpose of using the bank, and there's not an absolute necessity for using the bank, you should not use it. You know, the banks are like the major issue of all the corruption in all the countries in the world. You know, and the thing that keeps the banks running is what? No, us putting our money in the bank. We start putting our money in the bank, and we start going back to like gold and silver and focusing on, you know, and keeping our wealth for ourselves and not for these idiots. Because when you're putting the money in the bank, they're taking your money and they're investing it in all these companies. They're not giving you any of the profit that they make. So all this little profit that they give you, this little riba that they give you, is based off what? It's nothing compared to the amount of money that they're making with your money in the bank. So I mean, putting your money in the bank is keeping these idiots going. It's keeping all the corruption going. So if there's no necessity for it, I mean, all of us, I mean, we should like, and I don't mean set up some Islamic bank, because the Islamic banks are connected to what? To those banks. The only thing that we have in Islam is Baytul Mal. You know, which is the, you know, the fund, like the government fund, where the money is for the poor people and for things that need to be funded. We don't need banks. You know, this world existed for thousands and thousands of years without banks, until these kuffar came along and said, oh, you know, not just a specific type of kuffar that like to eat bagels all the time. You know who the bagel eaters are? You don't know the people that like bagels a lot?
No.
Huh? They eat bagels and then they kill Palestinians.
Oh, Jews. Yahoo.
I'm trying not to get this video. I could have said that, yeah. Alright, even a lot of Islamic banks have elements of riba, no doubt. No doubt, but they have a hila. And a hila is like what? When you're trying to like make it in a way, this is a hila, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Yahud, what? You're not allowed to catch fish on Saturday.
Oh.
Right? So Allah wanted to test the Yahud, so what did he do? He made all the fish come up to the surface on Saturday. But then on Friday and Sunday, when they could fish, the fish wouldn't come to the surface, so they couldn't catch the fish. So what did these bagel biters do?
Build nets under the water.
They said, we're going to throw our nets in the water, not build nets. They said, we're going to toss the nets in the water on Friday and pull the nets out on Sunday. And this is a hila, and this is what you see with a lot of these Islamic banks. This is what they're doing, trying to swerve their way around riba and call this Islamic. No, it's not Islamic. You're following in the same path of the same people that started these banks in the first place. Same path that these are the people. And Allah informed you about these people. So if you want to go and take the path that they're on, then khalas, the same thing's going to happen to you that happened to them. What happened to them? The people that did this?
Well, turn them into monkeys.
Monkeys and what?
Khanazir.
And the khanazir, turn them into monkeys and pigs. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say is going to happen in the last days? There's going to be a mess. There's going to be what? A lot of people are going to get changed to what?
Pigs and monkeys.
Pigs and monkeys. Keep following their path, and you're going to see the same thing happen to you that happened to them. Don't be surprised, pigs and monkeys, because y'all keep taking shots that have DNA from pigs and monkeys in them. So don't be surprised when this happens. Dun, dun, dun. I know you're like, oh man, why you gotta remind me, man?
Oh, God.
My mom made me do it, man. Every time I talk about this stuff, he's like, I see his face like, why do you have to bring this back up, man? I forgot about it, man.
I think you skipped one. I like that.
Huh?
The one about the Qab.
Where is it?
From Abdullah Musa. Above
I didn't even get to which one.
the one from watching you from Algeria, the one above that one.
We already talked about this. Is niqab wajib? Wajib? We spoke about this like yesterday, right? Or the day before, the class before this.
Oh, I think maybe they went there, that's why.
And the problem is that people keep asking the same questions every single time. So normally we don't ask the questions because we already answered it over and over and over and over again. What's the answer?
Covering the face is mandatory.
Yeah, because the person asked, is the niqab wajib? And I said, no, the niqab is not wajib, but covering the face is wajib. However you cover that, if you cover that with a jilbab, if you cover with a khimar, you cover with a, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter what you call it. But what matters is what?
A woman covering her face is mandatory.
Yeah, it's mandatory that she covers her face and her head and her hair. And according to all the tafsir of the different, you have an ayah in Surah An-Nur and you have an ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab. What do they say? All of the mufassirun says she covers up her whole head and her face and all the way down to her chest, and she keeps one eye open so for her to see wherever she's going. See, Jakarta said, we've talked about it many times. Thank you.
940.
We need to start putting maybe we need to start remembering, put that video, Kela, we spoke about this, and this. So that way we can just tell the person, go back to this video.
A whole lot of questions we're gonna write. That's a whole lot of questions we're gonna write.
No, but it's too late for that, because because most of those live streams 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and that's too much to do that. Alright, after the first tashahhud, is there two valid places where one can raise his hands before standing up for the third rak'ah? You raise your hands when you stand up. You don't raise your hands while you're sitting down, if that's what you're saying. He said, did your mother or sister accepted Islam? Nobody in my family has accepted Islam that I know of. I don't know, out of every single line of my family that we've been in America since the 1600s, and I don't know anybody from my family that's Muslim. So, that's it. SubhanAllah, bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Too late.